You're listening to Delayed Replay, the podcast where we recap and review movies that got delayed in that other universe for various reasons, but came out on time in our universe, and therefore come out pretty different for some reason. You might think this is improvised, and well, that's on you. I'm Steven Shinder, and welcome to the show. Airing sometimes every other week, sometimes one week and then the next week. It really depends. Just roll with it. Season 7.
Hello, listeners. Welcome to another episode of Delayed Replay, that podcast where we recap and review movies that got delayed or did not come out at all in that other universe, but came out in our universe. I'm your host, Steven Shinder, and joining me to talk about a Fast and Furious reboot titled Fast, with all caps and an exclamation point, it's my good friends Kiyan and Dylan. How's it going, guys?
Yeah, it's good.
Fast.
Yeah, like I somehow I just knew Kiyan was gonna say that, but he wasn't saying anything, so I kind of just said something, and then he said it like after I started speaking, and it just got really awkward.
And then it was just a car crash,
Yeah,
preempting what we were going to talk about in a minute.
Right.
Thanks for
So,
having us back, Stephen.
yeah, happy
yeah,
to be
it's
back.
always fun. So, prior
Well,
to
we'll see.
this,
Wait, this may be really terrible for you. You may regret this. Let's just say.
well, I've had lots of regrets, so this is just another Monday.
Oh,
It's just another one
all
on the
right,
pile.
fair enough. All right.
But yeah, so Fast and Furious, a franchise that's been around for 25 years now. Prior to this movie, what was your guys' personal experiences with the franchise?
Why don't you go first, Dylan? Because yours is surprisingly more sparse than mine.
Yeah, and more hilarious because I've only seen Fate of the Furious. Yep, that's right. Didn't watch a single one of the first seven movies, didn't watch any of the two subsequent ones. And I saw it it wasn't even like I saw it at home or at a friend's house. No, I went with a friend to the theaters to watch Fate of the Furious with no extant knowledge of the rest of the franchise.
Damn, I would have just stayed home. Like,
Well, this was
well,
in those movie pass days when like it was basically free to go to the movies because they were powered by venture capitalist money and just lighting money on fire, you know?
Yeah, that late 2010s era. I remember that, even though I never took advantage of it.
hell yeah. So, what about you, Keon?
Well, so my introduction to the series was actually pretty similar to Dylan. I saw Fast and Furious 6 in theaters with no context.
God damn it, what are we doing?
I know, and like the thing is, this isn't one of these series that you can just go in without context. It has a lot of continuity
Yes,
between the
surprisingly, yeah.
movie. Yeah. But anyway, after that, I eventually watched all the ones leading up to 6 in order. But then I never watched past 6, so I haven't
Huh.
seen anything
So you have
7 and
no
beyond.
idea what happens in the one movie that I have seen.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah,
But I
and
also
also
have no recollection of 4, 5, or 6 either. I
oh,
remember 1,
okay.
2, and 3 pretty well, but 4, 5, and 6 kind of just a blur.
Yeah,
Fitting
some
for a
some of those kind of blend together, to be honest.
yeah.
Oh, you know what? I take it back. I've seen a second Fast and the Furious movie because I forgot about Hobbs and Shaw, which I also saw in theaters.
Oh, nice. Well, that one is. I would assume it's more standalone because it's a spin-off.
Yeah.
But maybe not.
Well, I mean, I watched it. I don't know if I could really comment on how standalone it is because I don't know like what knowledge I was missing by not having seen
Right. Yeah.
more. But it is also like mostly a spin-off of the characters in The Fate of the Furious. So like in a sense, I had the requisite knowledge, you know?
Yeah, throwback to that one time that Mike from How Star Wars Is It said about I think he said about F9 or one of the later movies. It was better than Hobbs and Shaw, but like so is Hot Diarrhea.
Hobbs and Shaw wasn't
Ugh.
bad. I'm just gonna say it wasn't bad.
No, yeah, I didn't think it was as bad, but I mean, I don't know. That's, at some points in the franchise, I'm like, what are we even doing here? Um, so my history with the franchise is, yeah, I watched the first several on like TV or rented the DVDs, late 2000s, early, or probably early 2010s, because my cousins and my brother had watched the earlier films and I was trying to watch more movies and I was like, oh, I'll see what the fuss is about. And then eventually, like as a family, we went to see the sixth one in the theater. And I remember by the end of it, I was like, man, this movie cannot end sooner. But my cousins were like really into the movie. And then of course, the seventh movie left such a cultural footprint because of the passing of Paul Walker, and then you have the movies beyond that, but then they would get even more off the rails. Like, they go off the rails in that other universe, but over here in our universe, they like go fully into space for like extended period of time. They go back in time and see dinosaurs, and it's just really weird. So I guess that's why they rebooted. Um, for my money, my favorite Fast and Furious thing is the animated series, Fast and Furious Spy Racers. I guess it's easier for me to buy into it because it's animation and it just feels more funny, and I love the characters even more in that. They're
What?
different characters.
Why is this such a big franchise? I mean,
It's
isn't the first one very grounded? The first one is just like about stealing DVDs or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first one is if you just showed someone one and then like I don't know skipped to seven or eight, it would almost be unrecognizable or something. It's yeah, the first one is definitely a grounded movie.
Look, my
That kind of just
favorite
gradually grow more insane.
to say my favorite thing that happened in the eighth one in the other universe is when the submarine launches the torpedo and the like guy directs it with his feet
Oh my God.
while driving the car. Good
Hell
times.
yeah. All right. So in this reboot, even though I guess it's supposed to be like a new continuity, they still de-age the likenesses of the actors we're used to, because I guess they're just cowards and don't want to recast. How'd you guys feel about this decision here?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the time travel in this franchise because it's kind of amazing that we, have now invented time travel um, in real life, but it was invented to bring back younger versions of the actors in this franchise. We invented time travel for the most
Yeah.
vapid possible scenario use.
Yeah, for money. Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
right. And we're not
yeah.
going to get into the like massive societal upheaval that's going on right now, because they refuse to share the technology. The protests in the streets, um,
Right. The rapidly growing wealth disparity getting even worse.
right, because of this
Yeah.
time travel thing. But, if you're gonna de-age them, do it right, do
Yeah,
it.
Yeah.
look, if it drives profits, it is an inherent virtue. Just
Right.
I'm just laying that groundwork for so everyone's aware.
Kiyan is whatever the like polar opposite of Marxism is. Like wealth disparity is good actually kind of vibes.
I mean, yeah, I'm joking just to be clear, but yeah.
Who are you?
Yeah, it's a good question. We'll leave that one up in the air. Kind of like how the series left the characters in space for so long, but
Yeah.
is now venturing into time.
Yeah. And speaking of time, it was quite an interesting time getting introduced to like the younger Vin Diesel and Paul Walker characters, Brian and the other guy's name. And like we see them in Danville. Danville is in California, right?
Well, so funny story. Yeah, the short answer, yes. But funny story is that actually every time I told someone I had to go to Danville last week, they all said, "You're going to Kentucky?" And I said, "No, we have a Danville in California." And they said, "We have a Danville in California?" So you're actually the first person uh who thought Danville and immediately thought California. Maybe it's because that's what they did in this movie, but the like more prominent Danville is the one in Kentucky.
Okay, there is a KFC in this movie though, just I guess to confuse the audience or something.
Yeah, just to throw a little secret spice in the mix.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, but we see their first meeting here. I guess they wanted to do a different way of trying to establish the relationship here between Dom and Brian. How did you guys feel about this approach?
Look, if you're gonna go big, go small. I've always said that. Um, that's something that I just say. Kiyan can confirm. I say that all the time.
Yeah, I've heard this hundreds of times. Definitely isn't the first time he's saying it.
And you in some sense, these characters in this franchise have achieved a mythical quality. Uh, they have some legend behind them. So you need to really deconstruct the myth in a way if you're going to make a new origin story. Because, let's not beat around the bush. This reboot pretty significantly diverges from the established origin story we saw in the original The Fast and the Furious.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, in this film, we see that they are college roommates and they're kind of begin as like squeaky clean students. They're not really into like doing much of the partying and like they're kind of driving carefully. So this really shows a different side of the characters before we get to see them pretty much as we know them. And I think that's a pretty bold choice, especially when they titled this movie Fast right off the bat.
Right. And it is interesting how the way they sort of veer into crime is more modern than what you would see in a movie that came out as long ago as the first one did. Which is that they just, they do something we can all relate to. They start glancing at their phones while driving.
Yeah, they do not only update the origin story, but bring it forward 25 years.
Hmm.
Yeah, but they also like later in the movie they do a throwback to some of those elements of the first movie in that they do eventually try to steal DVDs, only this time it's because the content of the DVDs has been taken off of streaming and the internet and is like lost media now, so they're like, "Hey, there's a lot of money to be had here."
Right, exactly. And remember, the bottom line and moral of this story is that if it drives profit, it is virtuous. So this endears us to the characters.
Right, they work for the government. Um, well, not just the government. The government is one of many institutions in this movie who want to get their hands on these uh, illegally produced DVDs.
Yeah, and they even do the thing where they need to put a team together. And so they see this UFC match where none other than Luke Hobbs is like part of the match. And weirdly, they did not get a younger Dwayne The Rock Johnson here. They got one of the actors who played young Rock. It wasn't Uli this time, it was Bradley Constant who played like the mid-teen young Rock, weirdly enough. What'd you guys think of his performance as Luke Hobbs?
Well, if we're putting someone next to The Rock, then in a way we're really putting them next to Stonehenge, right? Because Stonehenge, like, when you say The Rock, what is the most prominent and famous rock in the
Yeah.
world?
What?
Um, so personally, I got all thought of, Dwayne Johnson out of my mind. I put him off to the side. I thought it was perhaps not a fair comparison. Um, the Rosetta Stone, forget about it. I was comparing our performance here to that of Stonehenge. And considering Stonehenge is completely inanimate and doesn't move uh, or have a mind whatsoever, I'd say pretty good overall. Yeah, to answer your question, pretty good.
I lost track of that metaphor somewhere around 3 and 4 words in. Uh, so I'm just gonna say, yeah,
You,
it wasn't too bad.
you you didn't like my preempting of them going to Stonehenge. Spoiler, they go to Stonehenge.
Yeah.
It was a little too refined for me. I'm not that smart. Um,
You were trying to go big, but then you went small. Is that what
exactly,
happened? Yeah.
exactly. Like my brain, it's the size of a peanut. You got to remember this. Yeah, it wasn't bad, you know. It was weird that they, again, have time travel technology and could have pulled the actual young Rock. But I imagine that it went something like, "Hey, Rock, do you want to come to the future and act in this movie?" And they said, and he said, "Nah." And they said, "Oh, yeah, all right, that's fair."
No,
Yeah,
yeah,
as far as
I heard that
go
what
ahead.
happened. I heard that what happened is that he was like, "No, I'm too busy being the Scorpion King in this Mummy Returns movie."
Yeah, he really thought that was going to be his big break. He's like, "This is going to make me famous." And you know, the director of
It
this movie said, "All right, I guess."
it is worth noting that these actors being pulled through time was supposedly, let's just put that out there, supposedly done ethically or as ethically as possible. Now, you may have your own thoughts about whether or not that is actually the case, but that was the narrative that was spun to us all. Uh, so it's the one I'm rolling with.
Yeah,
You,
why believe something that challenges your worldview when we can instead live in a nice cushioned box where everything is done ethically
Right. Yeah,
in pursuit of
exactly.
profit?
Exactly.
you know what sucks? I heard that the actors, before they were put back in their past in their proper time period, they were paid in
Supposedly.
ca yeah, they were paid in cash, but it was cash that was produced later in the timeline, so they have to wait years before they can actually use it.
Nice, nice. Paying them in a way that ensures they can only use the money after the movie was actually made. Nice. That's big brain. I mean, that's big brain.
Yeah, it's like turning cash into a form of a gift card without actually doing so, limiting its spending capacity. And that's not cool because it doesn't drive profit.
Wow,
Drive profit. I see what you did there.
Yeah.
we're really
Yeah.
on this driving profit thing today, aren't we?
Yeah.
I know that's my shtick or something this episode. I'm not normally like this, except when I
Right.
am,
Sure,
apparently.
sure. Frequently. Kiyan is frequently like this.
Also, when I went to go see this movie, I actually did a double feature. I watched this along with
Oh boy.
that new movie that came out, The Furious. So it was like the Fast and the Furious double feature.
Damn it. Why did I know that was where that was going? Why are we so predictable?
Well, are you telling me that you would not want to do that, Dylan? You didn't go see The Furious, a 2025 English language Hong Kong action film directed by Kenji Tanigaki?
Did you just open the Wikipedia page to read that line off?
No, what would make you think that?
Stephen's silence speaks volumes. Let me just say, Stephen's silence speaks volumes. All right, where were we in the plot of this movie? This travesty of entertainment.
Right. So they're stealing the DVDs and they have their team assembled, which their team also has a character played by Owen Wilson for some reason. What did you think of his involvement in this movie?
It's
You
that
know what?
deep cut meta reference to Cars. Sorry, go ahead, Kiyan. I cut you
Yeah,
off.
I frankly didn't even realize it was him since he was wearing that absurdly realistic orangutan costume.
Yeah.
Look, they just really needed someone who could embody.
A car.
Well, sure. I was actually going to say a monkey or a monkey adjacent animal, but a car, sure. All
Like
right.
a human.
I've always said that orangutans are the most car-like animals that I can think of. So,
The most car-like apes.
right.
And hey, Cars turned 20 recently, so there
Best
you
Pixar
go.
movie ever made.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. I can't tell if you're being ironic or if that's actually how you feel.
Well, there's like seven different things it could be. I could be being ironic in universe. It could be that the other universe version of me is playing a character in this universe. It could be the genuine belief of the person recording this episode. Could be any.
It could be the beliefs of our employers, but not of us.
Right. We could be speaking we could be speaking on behalf of the corporation that employs us.
Oh yeah, decorative vegetable towers.
Yep.
But hey, maybe that ties into why some of these franchises last so long, is that I think people just really love cars and toy cars especially as well, and that's why these things have longevity, unfortunately.
Why is it unfortunate? Would you would you rather I don't know, the people involved in the production of all of these movies make something, I don't know, more original or something like that?
Is that such a bad thing to wish?
No, I don't think so. I'm just curious. Yeah, I
I
don't
think it
know.
is. Because it's not profit driving. Profit driving,
Oh,
is
true, true.
come on, Keon.
My bad. Yeah,
What the
you're right.
heck?
Sorry, I slipped for a second.
Damn, the way you guys sound makes it seem like someone has like a sniper of a red dot on your guys' foreheads while we're recording this.
It's not
Well,
red.
well, it wouldn't be the first time during an during an episode of Delayed Replay. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, just throw some lore in there for people to ponder.
Hmm.
Right. So they try to steal these DVDs while, doing this, speeding in these cars around Stonehenge. And honestly, this made me nervous because I don't know about you guys, but I never have the desire to want the rocks of Stonehenge to fall because I'm so used to them just being these ever-standing things. And so the thought of them falling is just something that shatters my entire world, you know? But how did you guys feel about all this?
Well, for me, it was kind of odd. It was maybe an odd narrative choice that they moved their DVD theft operation to Stonehenge, considering Stonehenge is kind of just like a tourist destination in the middle of nowhere, um, meaning that there are no places really to steal DVDs except from people, right? So that's just what they had to do. They had to just pinpoint the tourists who had inexplicably had DVDs on them and just rob them personally.
I mean, did you forget the whole explanation that was clearly nonsense? Um, about the alignment of the stones in the sun, making it optimal for DVD theft due to the alignment of the chakras portrayed between the moon and the earth.
Hmm.
I mean, look, these movies have never been particularly spiritual, but I think I want to reinforce that point Steven said about like car culture, and I think that this movie, more so than any of the other ones in the franchise, treats car culture as a religion in and of itself, you know?
Yeah, true enough. And you're right. They haven't been particularly spiritual, and they also have not been particularly like scientifically accurate or even tried. So this is all just par for the course. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, I also like how one of the villains is some tax investigator. Like
Right? We
try
haven't even talked about the villain.
yeah, just trying to figure out where all the money is going to and like all these sketchy operations and stuff.
Look, as Kiyan said, they're being actually noble in this for stealing pirated DVDs in a profit-motivated society. And it turns out that, like Al Capone, their only actual crime was tax evasion. So,
Yeah,
Yeah. Tried to get him on any number of other counts, but couldn't do it.
yeah, they were really driving fast trying to evade those taxes.
you
Yeah.
might say that they were driving a fast car, and it's going to take them anywhere.
Yeah, even if it's a taxi, you know.
Yeah. I did like the part where uh taxes were embodied, in the movies.
Taxes
uh
were embodied.
right. In the metaphor that the movie set up, embodied by uh missiles, right, shot out of the side of a
Right.
nuclear equipped taxis. Yeah. It was a nice throwback to the over the top nature of some of the previous pre-reboot films.
Right. What'd you guys think of the subplot where they end up trying to steal these outdated payphones?
Ill-advised, impractical is how I would describe it. But enough about the writing. Um, uh, yeah, I don't know. Just on every level, it seems like how are they going to pull it off? Both in terms of the in-universe, right, thing that they're trying to do, the actual operation of payphone theft, and how are the writers going to pull it off? You know, it just leaves it up in the air. There's just so much tension surrounding this. And surprisingly, or perhaps not so surprisingly, we never get an answer.
I never took these movies as ones that posed a particularly interesting moral or ethical quandary and then provided a solid belief system that posed an answer to that. But of all of these movies, this one comes the closest. So we don't get an answer per se, but we get more of one than we ever did before.
Yeah, I kind of get the sense that in the writer's room, they were probably thinking, oh, what would look cool? Oh, if we had like this magnet attached to a payphone and the payphone was being dragged on the streets while the car was like driving fast. And that's pretty much why we got this whole subplot.
When you've been to space, um, what else is there to do in your movies, you know? Dragging a payphone around, smashing into the rocks of Stonehenge. Um, it's just, you know, they've graduated from space to destroying national landmarks, and I got to admit, it was pretty cool. All those explosions, very Michael Bay-esque. Kind of felt like they wanted Michael Bay to direct this movie, but couldn't get him.
Yeah, and the Stonehenge tourist thing was very accurate in that the tourists had these um the thing where you listen to an audio recording of about Stonehenge. So I did appreciate that authenticity as someone who's been to Stonehenge and experienced that sort of thing.
Yeah, I personally also enjoyed the authenticity of all the extras they got in this entire sequence being actual tax evaders. Um, Almost a callback to the Matrix, where they did the club scene in the first one was just like randos who were there that day. right? Now,
Yeah,
these were, of course, not randos. They were collected here for a purpose, which was to serve as extras, uh, and I don't know, tr channel their criminality through their performance. But hey,
yeah, funny enough, they went back in time and got these people before their known tax evasion crimes and then put them in here. So,
right, and
yeah.
many later attested that this was where they got the idea.
Yeah.
This is where they got the money that they tax evaded on, in fact.
Right?
So,
Yeah.
sort of in a way, this movie created criminals.
I mean, you could argue that by having these actors play criminals, the movie is, in a way, creating criminals, you know?
I think the argument is that the movie is criminal because they invented time travel to pull actors from from earlier in their timeline to act in this profit-seeking movie, and then they withheld the technology from the rest of the world when it could be used for so many things.
Yeah, just think of all the money we could be making with that.
Right. I could be betting on next week's FIFA match today.
Yeah, I could be betting on like
Okay, well, we know which of the three of us is the least profit-seeking, which is Steven, since he didn't know what he was gonna do with the time
well
machine
well
instantly.
I was gonna say like go back to the 90s and bet on when exactly Twin Peaks would come back. And once it comes back when I said it would, then I get like really rich. Yeah, so getting back to this movie, the villain has like these henchmen who and they're in like the barracks. Um Really a lot of expendable henchmen. It kind of got comical how expendable they were and just like dying left and right in these car chases.
Right, it is interesting how this movie kind of ramps up the absurdity from the beginning of the movie to the end, kind of mirroring uh the entire series in a way, just in microcosm.
Right.
There's like a campaign like to like get this film nominated for an Oscar. Like, well, I don't know, was there any moment in this that you guys thought would be quote unquote Oscar worthy? I mean, not that I care about award shows, but I felt like it warranted mentioning given this online campaign.
Well, there was that blink and you miss it, uh, Oscar the Grouch, scene, right, where they're flying by, somebody hits a trash can. Don't even remember who it was. Could have been anyone. There were so many vehicles on screen, uh, proceeding, careening ahead. And you just, it's a blink and you miss it type of thing, of course. Um, but if you pause, you can definitely see a little blur of green, a little blur of green there.
Yeah, and honestly, during some of these sequences where the cars are zooming by, I couldn't see anyone in the driver's seat, which made me think that a lot of these cars were just effects heavy or they might have been remote controlled, and it really took me out of it seeing that there's like no one in the driver's seat in some of these sequences.
Yeah, it kind of felt like that's how the movie was being directed to in a way. No one in the driver's seat. No, no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I didn't
But
dislike it that much.
so these heists are ramping up and like they kind of throw in this like I guess this is supposed to be the climactic heist where they're going after the type of thing you'd expect, which is a diamond. Um, how'd you guys feel about this segment of the film?
I thought
Kind
it
of
was a
weird that they
little.
went from the DVDs to the diamond, That was my first thought. Sorry, I cut you off again, Kiyan.
No, I was just going to basically add on to what you said, or almost say the same thing. It is kind of disturbing in a way that they go out of alphabetical order here, going from DVDs to diamonds. That was not a nice feeling, I have to admit.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, see, just goes to show you, it's a back of the mind thing, it's a subtle thing, but it can totally change the entire tenor of the movie, just like that. Yeah, from here on out, I was basically checked out.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
let's
even
do this.
they even try to do like the Oceans movie thing where cuts back and forth between the explanation of the heist and then shows them trying to do the heist. Um,
Yeah,
and
that
yeah.
that technique worked a lot better in Ocean's 11, where the heist succeeded.
Right.
Spoiler
Sorry.
for a 25-year-old movie.
Or more, depending on which version you are referring to.
Well,
Right,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I couldn't remember if they cut back and forth like that in the 60s one.
Oh, no, I don't think they did, if memory serves. I think they just play it all out chronologically.
Yeah, and that's why it was bad.
It was certainly a boring movie. Yeah.
It was bad
Yeah.
for other reasons, not for that specific reason, let's be clear.
I do think the structure definitely, and this is kind of off topic, but like the structure definitely contributes to how boring it is, where it's just like they plan the heist and then they do it. Um, it's not a particularly interesting, I don't know, structure for a story. But yeah, it's not the only issue, that movie. It's one among many.
Anyway, back to the point. Yeah, I found the climax of this movie to be kind of boring. I was way more interested in the DVD plot. Gonna have to be honest with you.
Yeah, and you would think that the climax would be more exciting given how fast these cars are, but I think we've just been exposed so much to this type of action that it's really lost its luster a long time ago, in my opinion.
Right.
Yeah, this movie almost demonstrates that the whole driving illusion thing can actually happen on screen when you're not even driving, when you're not even behind the wheel of a car in real life. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Where like, if you're driving on a freeway or something, you're going like, I don't know, 60, 70. All of a sudden it feels like you're going 30 or 40. Um, that's what that's what this movie kind of replicates in a way. You kind of get desensitized to it after a while.
Huh. Yeah, that is. Yeah, I wonder if that was intentional or if that is just how it ended up happening.
Yeah, that's a good question. One we'll probably not ever know the answer to. I mean, until they release the technology to the rest of us, then we can just find out. But
I thought you were gonna say until they release the DVD with a commentary, but
right,
okay.
yeah, that too. All right, that too. Sure.
Do people even still do commentaries on DVDs? I guess for this movie it would be
Shoot,
topical
man, I don't
because of
know.
the. I guess for this movie it would be, topical given the plot of the movie.
Yeah, I feel like these days, not I mean, it's been a while since I actually went out of my way to buy a DVD that wasn't a concert film, but I feel like you have this thing going on the side where instead of an official DVD commentary, you'll have fans trying to record their own commentaries and then put it out into the world on YouTube or a podcast app or something.
Yeah, those like watch along like reaction things or whatever.
Yeah, sometimes it's
Yeah.
like a reaction thing where you can see their facial expressions. Yeah.
Well, we've entered a new era and are unfortunately stuck here
Damn.
until until they decide to until they decide to release the time travel technology to the rest of us.
Right. Well, by the end of this movie, they do get the diamond and then Dom looks at Brian and is like, you know what? We're kind of like a family. Because
Dang,
you know,
spoiler. I didn't
well,
actually finish it. I didn't mention this to you guys, but I just walked out towards the end.
Wait, when did you walk out? What part of that climax led you to walk out? Was it when they started stealing the diamond, or was it when they used the diamond to attune the force of the sun through the Stonehenge to collect all the DVDs in the local used to magnetize all the DVDs? Was that where it
yeah.
lost
It,
you? Was
it,
that where it
it,
lost you?
it lost me around the time they walked out because, during in the midst of all of this, they couldn't continue driving. Things were just getting too hectic, too chaotic, and too insane. So as I'm sure you both remember, the characters eventually just get out of the cars and start walking, of all things, not even speed walking, just normal walking. And at that point, I decided it was my time to walk out of the movie.
Yeah, truly a second coming moment, one might say.
Yeah, just walking out of the movie, coming back into reality
Yeah.
for, I don't know, this the second time, I guess. I don't know.
But yeah, you can't have one of these movies not mentioning family, I guess.
Hmm.
All right. So is there anything else you guys want to bring up before we go into the end credits, like the song they play in the end credits is
I was to say,
it's See You Again, but it's the Tyler the Creator song. It's a different song.
incredible, just incredible. I mean, lampooning your own meme like that. Wow.
At least
All
they
right.
know their history or something like this.
Yeah, like at least they've watched their own movies, I guess.
Right, yeah. More than I can say, I suppose.
All right, was there anything else you guys want to bring up before we go into final thoughts and scores?
No, I think we hit everything.
Yeah,
All right.
touched on everything I wanted to touch on. Yeah.
All right. So, what are your final thoughts, scores out of 10, and do you know of measurement for those scores for Fast?
I'm gonna go with I don't know, 6 cylinders out of 10. I don't know what kind of car you're driving around with
Right.
10 cylinder engine.
Right. Oh, you missed that? The movie? Yeah. Yeah, too
Damn,
bad.
you're right. You're right. Sorry.
I thought I
My
was the one who
bad.
intentionally missed stuff.
Yeah, just for the record, Keon once expressed to me the opinion that if you like didn't watch the entirety of the credits of a movie, you didn't actually watch the whole movie because you missed part of the movie. Like even in movies that don't have post-credit scenes. And pretty much since then I've sat through the credits of every movie I've watched.
Yeah, I mean, you can also make the case that if you watch a movie with subtitles on that weren't already there embedded into the film, then you're not fully watching the movie because the subtitles are covering up some of the footage that was intended to be seen by you.
Yeah, that's true
Yep.
actually.
I 100% agree with that, unironically. Yeah.
I've given my
Which
rating.
is why
We're
I
just waiting
watched
on
this with subtitles.
what? Watched it with
As,
subtitles and you left early? What version
yes,
did you watch?
as I do every movie. I, I, I watched it in the original Ojibwe, of course. We neglected to mention, but the entire movie is done in Ojibwe.
What?
Yeah. You want what? You watch the English dub?
No, I just understand Ojibwe.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. I mean, who doesn't?
You apparently, since you watch it with subtitles.
No, no, I still understand it though. No.
Uh-huh. Yeah, right. What's your rating, Keon? You're just stalling.
Oh, I think considering I walked out, I think, it's pretty clear that my my rating is pretty low, so I'm just going to go ahead and give it a zero drivers in the driver's seat out of however many can fit in the driver's seat. I don't know.
I just can't believe you waited till 5 minutes before the end of this recording to reveal that you walked out of this movie.
Well, sometimes that's just how the chips fall.
Yeah, he was in no position to drive out of this movie, I guess.
Right. Uh-huh. Don't encourage him.
Yeah, well, I saw this at the drive-in and I kind of wanted to walk away,
What?
had to like watch the whole thing for the podcast, so, you know.
Why did
Uh
why did we all see this in the worst?
Tradition. We all encountered this series in like an absurd way. That just had to continue.
Of course.
Right.
Carry on,
It's just
Steven.
how fate would have it.
Yeah, so there were moments where this movie felt like it was trying to be a bit more mature, in some ways, like more grounded than some of the other later movies, but it still ended up being off the rails in some ways anyway. Um, Sometimes slightly entertaining, but it just kind of wasn't really enough for me, honestly. So, you know, you reboot this franchise, you have a chance to do something actually better, and it's just kind of eh. So I'll give this 4 out of 10 standing Stonehenge stones.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's kind of a harsh image in a way, both the rating itself and the imagery you gave it, pretty harsh. But I understand. It's understandable.
Right. So I guess that'll do it for this discussion of Fast. So thanks for joining me again, Dylan and Kian. Was there anything you want to recommend people watch or something? I don't know.
I recommend that people watch Fast and walk out of it at the same time I did. Replicate my experience and let me know if it was a good move.
I'm gonna
Nice.
recommend. I don't know. I watched Disclosure Day recently, and I thought it was fantastic. So I'll just say that.
Nice. Hell yeah.
Oh, you know what? Actually,
Other,
I've thought of something much better to recommend. I recommend going to a book sale and awkwardly standing there listening to people's conversations because I did that recently. And it's great because you stand there and you look at all the used books and you can pretend you're reading the back of the book when in actuality you're like listening to the conversation of the people next to you. And you can hear some of the most hilarious stuff you've ever heard. Uh, yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that.
nice. Yeah, it's like a throwback to high school. You get to pretend you're reading.
Yeah, exactly. Nice.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun, actually. All right. So, yeah, and also check out Decorative Vegetable, your guys' archives of podcasts you've recorded, which I'll link in the show notes as well.
Yeah, which
And
randomly, like on Spotify, has been getting like hundreds of listens. For some reason, like hundreds of people listen to us on Spotify, even though the show's been dead for 4 years.
Yeah, no, we've talked about this before. All we needed to do to increase the listenership was just end the show.
yeah, it just became a cult classic, I guess.
Hmm.
Which is why we should ruin it by
By
return bringing
bringing
it back and
Bringing it
talking about
back.
Lex.
Oh yeah, listeners, go watch Lex. No, no, I'm kidding.
No, don't
Lex
do
is
that. No,
awful.
no, no, don't do that.
No,
Go
I
back,
yeah.
go back
No.
in time and stop Lex from being created.
Oh yeah, that's the true altruistic use of the time machine. Prevent Lex from being created.
Exactly.
Hmm.
All right, so thanks for tuning in, everyone, and without further delay, have a good day.
By the way, this episode is coming out on Dylan's birthday, so happy birthday to Dylan. Yeah, I guess this episode is your gift. Have another good year, my friend. Alright, so after this next bit, you'll hear my other self give a non spoiler review of the new Supergirl movie and maybe a couple other things he's watched lately. But first, the plugs. You can email delayedreplaypodcast@gmail.com. Let us know your thoughts on time travel bets. And you can also find me at the social media listed in the show notes, and go to stevenshinder.com for info on my standalones and stepping stones novels. And you can get those and review them and whatnot. Anything you can do. And you can also find me on Yes Shift, a podcast I do with my dad about the band Yes. We recently interviewed Billy Sherwood, the bassist of the band, about the new Yes album Aurora, and there's also a news episode and a comparison between the two versions of the Fly From Here album. So interesting stuff and more coming up. And yeah, I guess that's it for now. The next episode will be about the Yesterday War. You might remember the Tomorrow War episode from a few years back. So this time, finally covering the Yesterday War as a little 4th of July episode. So that's that. And without further delay, here's my other self. Hey everyone. So before I talk about Supergirl, just wanted to mention that over on the YouTube channel, Steven Shinder Reviews in video form, you can find my spoiler review of Toy Story 5, which is titled Toy Story 5 Could Have Been More Bold and Less Bald. And, I myself am balding, so I can say that. But anyway, I liked the movie, but I mentioned what could have been done better. And I also put out like a Father's Day type video called "So is Zurg Buzz's or is Zurg Buzz Lightyear's dad or what?" And I sort of went through my headcanon of how I think that lore and the lore that's in the Lightyear movie can sort of still fit within the context of the Toy Story universe. So yeah, fun stuff there. I have not seen that Furious movie, which my other self watched apparently. I noticed that there's also an upcoming Hulu series also titled Furious. It's a psychological thriller. It's from Elizabeth Merriweather, and yeah, it's kind of weird timing there, I guess. A couple other new-ish movies I saw recently. I think it was Greg on the show who recommended Rental Family earlier in this season. And I went ahead and watched that as kind of a Father's Day watch. And yeah, Brendan Fraser, really good. I think the movie was somewhat predictable, but still pleasant to watch. So it's at least a 7 out of 10 for me. I also watched this movie from last year, I think it's from, called What We Hide. And I think that's what it's called, What We Hide. It's about these two sisters. One is a teenager, one is younger. Okay, yeah, it is called What We Hide. And their mother, and this isn't a spoiler, this is how the movie starts. Their mother has overdosed, and they don't want to tell people about her death because they don't want the foster care system to separate them. So it's a very interesting premise, and the acting felt very real. It's kind of an intense drama, so it might not be as accessible, but the acting is really good, I would say. And so Supergirl. I'll go ahead and talk about that. And I've been keeping up with My Adventures with Superman. First two episodes are out. Really fun show, and cool seeing that version of Supergirl in that show and how she's navigating through life on Earth. Also, in front of this Supergirl movie, when it comes to trailers, I know people get upset whenever they're only trailers for sequels or adaptations, and this was no exception. A perhaps more frustrating thing that happened was before this Supergirl movie played, there was a 2-minute montage of Tom Cruise movies that people had already seen, and all of it was basically leading up to this 10-second preview thing of his upcoming movie, which is called Digging or Dig or something. I don't know. It's like, what has this come to? It's like just about the actor and the movies that we people have already seen before, and just a tiny bit of new. Like, what the heck is going on here? It was just awful. I'm just gonna come right out and say that it's silly. It's ridiculous. But anyway. But the Supergirl movie that just came out, I thought it was. I should mention What We Hide is an 8 out of 10, just so you know. Check my Letterboxd for all the stuff I've watched. But the Supergirl movie that just came out, I definitely think it was better, less awkward than the 80s Supergirl movie. I don't think I enjoyed this as much as the live action Supergirl TV show, which, yeah, I know people thought that show was cheesy, but it had its charm. In this one, I'm not as much of a fan of how Supergirl's characterization starts out. Like, yeah, I know they're going for a partier vibe at first, and how she's sort of stumbling through everything, which I do kind of wonder if that's an overcorrection against the criticisms that you see from certain people about these female protagonists in these blockbuster movies who are good at fighting and stuff. People get really down on that sort of thing depending on how it's done. So it kind of felt to me like a weird overcorrection. I don't know if that is the case, if that is how it evolved. But this was also based on the Woman of Tomorrow comic book storyline, which I think is definitely better than this. That book is not perfect. The way that it handles the crypto thing, I am kind of mixed on still, but the way that the movie handles crypto, like, without spoiling anything, this is yet another help the dog or try to save the dog type of motivation. And that's something that's very early on. And I'm in this weird place where that sort of thing really stands out to me, and it feels cheap that this is the second DCU movie in a row where we get that sort of thing. And yeah, this element, to be fair, was in the book that it's based on, in that fashion that it appears in, but it just made it a little difficult for me to enjoy, because Supergirl, the way that she acts in light of, trying to help her own dog, like, it feels like there's a disconnect with how she acts in certain scenes and the dire situation at hand there. So yeah, I don't know. It just felt like this jarring thing to me. And there were a few, kind of toilet humor jokes, which, depending, oh, I don't know, like the way that they're done is, in some movies, I just am not that into that type of humor. And it was weird that it appeared quite a few times. I thought that the one at the beginning would be the full extent of that sort of thing. But yeah, I don't know, it's just really weird. And you also have these moments where, there's like a flashback with Superman and him saying what Supergirl should do. And I do kind of wonder, I don't know if I'm overthinking here, but if it kind of undermines her story if we hear Superman be the one to tell her who she should be. And it's the Toy Story 5 situation again, where much like Woody, I kind of feel like the male relative character kind of didn't need to appear in this movie. There's also a moment where Supergirl kind of has her empowering moment, but then it gets undermined, and then Lobo kind of steals the moment. You get this guy stealing the moment. So just weird things like that. And it just, I don't know, it kind of lowered my perception of the film. Weirdly, there's also a moment where you get this slow-mo sequence that feels reminiscent of the way Zack Snyder did that sort of thing. Not that there's anything wrong with it here. It's just, and I do like it in his Justice League movie, but it it's it kind of like took me out a little bit because I was reminded of something outside of the movie, I guess. But yeah, overall the movie was okay. There were cool moments. I will admit I was surprised about something that happened at the end, but I really hope that the next time we get a solo Supergirl movie, that, or maybe it would be a team movie, but she would sort of get more screen time. I don't know. I hope that they do better. And I haven't read too much about Man of Tomorrow, but maybe she'll be in that. So we'll see. But yeah, this one was a 6 out of 10 for me. It's okay, but it could have been better. Um, and yeah, I know I feel kind of bad saying that. But these are just the things that stood out to me, and I'm being honest about how I felt about the movie. That being said, I am curious how the character would evolve past this point in her story, because this was very much the rough around the edges, sort of finding the right path type of story. It's that type of beginning for a character, I guess. So, yeah, curious to see where things would go from here. So, there you go. Those are my thoughts on the new Supergirl movie. Thanks for listening, and tune in next episode. We'll talking about at the end of that episode. So, without further delay, have a good day.